Hello, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to United Stand on this Saturday night when the top four race has hottened up or heated up, whichever way you want to put it. I don't know what's the best. Levin will be joining us soon, but joining us tonight to go over everything United just before and on the eve of one of the biggest games in Premier League history. Kev, how you doing, mate? Nice bit of footy on in the back there. Don't forget to turn it off.
Yeah. Sorry, I'll try and hide it. I'll go this way.
All fresh and trimmed up for the Leeds game, mate. New do. How's it going, mate?
Yeah, mate. Looking forward to it. Wife and kids went to Ireland yesterday, so it's been a struggle today. I won't lie to you, man. Pot noodle for breakfast, microwave curry for dinner, and yeah, I'll be settling down later on to watch the boxing, and obviously looking forward to discussing Manchester United as always.
And obviously Moretti for tea, mate. It's about right. Is that not yet? That's about right. Yeah, especially for boxing night as well. Beth, big day tomorrow for you. Already flying out early for Madrid, getting a bit of nice weather because it's been crap here in Manchester and all over the country. But looking forward to the weekend. Looking forward to the game tomorrow. How's it going?
Yeah, hopefully we go there, we get the result, and especially after that City Spurs game. I mean, it's awful to say, but it's actually like watching an exciting game like that. It makes you realise how long it's been since we've played some exciting football. So hopefully we'll see that tomorrow. Leeds is the perfect opposition for that. Big game at Elland Road, and hopefully we get the 3 points and continue the race for top four, which is looking harder and harder as the weeks go by, to be honest with you.
It most certainly is. It's looking tight out there. It is very tight. And we'll get on to the top four battle and everything like that in next few minutes. Not forget Levin's opinions on that when he drops in with us as well. But first of all, Kev, links again. Transfer speculation. Of course, it's Man United. Transfer speculation is there. But Samuel Luckers from the Evening News is going in with Declan Rice. His latest tweet saying, United want Declan Rice. Rice is keen on United. He is high up the list already, and there has been an interest with United for 3 years going on now. First thing I'll come to you there for, Kev, is typical United. 3 years we're supposed to be interested in this man. Why did we wait till it went to 8-figure sums before our scouting network actually realised that it was a decent player here, mate? But on Rice, opinions, mate, on that?
Well, it does make you think, doesn't it? It's like if they've scouted him for 3 years, like you say, they could have got him a hell of a lot cheaper. But as I have said, and I will state again, I'm really, the fee doesn't bother me. I hear all these jokes like Rice for 80 million, you can get it from Tesco for 89p or whatever and stuff like this. And I'm like, it doesn't bother me, the fee, because it's not me that's paying it. If Manchester United want to pay it, the only thing I would say is if that was your whole transfer budget for the summer and you blow it on that one player, then maybe you'd look at it and think, well, listen, Cavani is obviously going in the summer. There is a possibility that Ronaldo could still go. So we might need a number 9 as well. But Declan Rice, from what I've seen, anytime I've watched him, I think he's superb and he's brilliant what he does. I know a lot of people say he's overhyped, he's this, that, but Stuart Pearce, who played with Roy Keane at Nottingham Forest, has gone on record to say that at the age Declan Rice is now, he is far more progressed a player than Roy Keane was at that age. And for me, you look at that and you go, well, wow, because we know what Roy Keane was and the animal that he turned into. Absolute fantastic leader, legend of Manchester United. So anyone that's mentioned in the same breath, but to hear them words that he actually thinks that he's, better at this kind of age now than Roy Keane was, it'll do for me. And listen, mate, he's an upgrade on our midfield. We all know we've been crying out for somebody in the middle of the park there, and he'd make a huge impact. Absolutely huge. For me, it's the main cog of the engine, and that is the engine room. That's where games are won and lost, and it's why Manchester United have drawn and lost games this season. He could be the difference between winning games. If you've got a player that can control the midfield, dictate the pace of the game, good passer of the ball. We've never replaced Michael Carrick for me. I think he was absolutely superb at what he did. Again, another player with injuries, Owen Hargreaves. I think he was absolutely sensational at what he did as a footballer. And that's what we're crying out for. This is a similar kind of player. And if he's available and he wants to come to United, go and get him. Because if you don't, the chances are that Chelsea or somebody else will pick him up, one of your rivals, and it just strengthens them. So, yeah, get it done, man.
Yeah, that's it. Shout out to you, Zane, for your Arsenal post there and your super chat, mate. Good to see you back, mate. You've been hiding for a while, haven't you? But don't get too excited. We beat Brentford 3-1 at their place, mate, and you know how bad we've been. So settle down, pal. Settle down. But, I mean, Beth, Kev said it there. If that is our whole budget on Declan Rice, does that now make the importance of what's happened this season now with the likes of the Greenwood situation, losing Cavani, does that make us think twice about blowing a budget? Because it does look like we're going to need a forward as well.
Yeah, it's one of them things also, Zane. It was great goalkeeping by apparently the best goalkeeper in the league to concede that goal to Brentford at the end. I mean, oh God, I think Ramsdale's completely overrated. But anyway, we move on. Rice and a striker situation. I like Declan Rice. I think he's a very good centre defensive midfielder. I still think he is Premier League proven, but I still think coming into Manchester United, playing under that amount of pressure and what is expected at Manchester United will be a lot different. Obviously, with the players he's been playing around, he'll have a lot more. He's still got defensive responsibility, West Ham, but that heightens even further when you're playing the CDM role for Manchester United, and especially how long we've been crying out for a CDM that can run that midfield. It's going to be a lot of pressure on him coming in if we did go and buy him, especially for the amount of money that it would take to do it. The risk in spending that much money on Declan Rice would be the compromise of our transfer budgets. And you look at players that could be leaving. Pogba could be on the way out for free. Other players we risk losing. A lot of players' futures are up in the air, and there's a lot of contracts running out next year as well that need to be sorted out. So it's going to be a busy summer for Manchester United, getting a new manager in as well. And we know how slow they can be to do business, and especially a deal that's going to cost 80 million plus. It doesn't look hopeful about Manchester United getting any other deals over the line. I think Declan Rice is good enough to come into Manchester United. I really like his mentality. I think he said in that interview with Gary Neville he wants to win things, and he deserves to be at a club at that level. I really do think that. But 80 million is a lot of money. I don't think he's worth anywhere near that. And I'm not saying that because I don't think he's good. I just don't think I think 80 million is absolutely ridiculous. I thought 80 million for Harry Maguire is absolutely ridiculous. But Manchester United are going to have to pay that if they want him. It just depends to Manchester United what they want to do. Would they rather go out and get a certified Premier League proven CDM that is going to come in and is expected to hit the ground running straight away? Or do they want to take a risk and actually use the scouting team that they employ and spend millions on a year to go out and get, because you can get these decent players from abroad. I mean, look at N'Golo Kante. Like, the players that are there that Manchester United can go out and find. And I think if you're looking at the long term for next season, and we do need a striker massively, that's going to have to be done. It just depends how much transfer budget there actually is. But personally, if you're asking me, would I rather have Declan Rice, or would I rather have a good centre forward coming in, a good CDM that you can develop coming in, and possibly a midfielder as well, another midfielder? I'd go with the second option, because I feel like we've done this thing where we go out and buy British players, overrated British. I'm not saying Rice overrated, but pay over the odds for English players, and it just doesn't work out. I think it's time we start exploring other options and spending money a little bit more wisely and getting depth of squad in at the club. But obviously, if United went out and bought Declan Rice, there wouldn't be any complaints from me. I do think he's a good player.
Yeah, on that though, Beth, in terms of what you could spend it with, I mean, is there, say, two players, a forward and another midfielder, that you think you could get in for 80 million? In your opinion, is there anyone out there now that you think instead of Rice you could spend that 80 million on?
I mean, you've got quite a few players. I mean, that Tchouaméni, I don't think we'd go for him, but he seems like a really good up and coming talent. Kamara, I was advocating for in January, and obviously when the rumours came about, you go and look at a player and you watch him play, and I think he's not there yet, but I think he's definitely got the potential. And there could be other players out there as well that are up and coming. And I mean, a lot of the chat will know players, a few more players than me as well, that they've got in mind. But it's just about, it's like we've done it before where we've gone out and spent ridiculous money on a player. And I'm not saying it doesn't mean he's not good enough, because he is. He 100% is good enough, and he would be a seriously good option. But for me, I'm looking at Declan Rice and I'm thinking 50 mil, 40, 50 mil. 80 million is just, It's absurd pricing. I wouldn't be surprised if Manchester United go out and pay it. Obviously, it's not coming out of our pocket. But I would like them to go and pay it, only if it was if we knew that we were going to also have budget for other players, because we 100% need a striker coming in that can, if Ronaldo stays, can work with Ronaldo. Ronaldo's not going to. He's amazing, and he's amazing centre forward, but we've seen this season we need something else as well, and when he leaves we need someone there ready to take over and ready to start firing for Manchester United. And if Pod believes, which it looks like he is going to, we're going to need another creative midfielder, a box-to-box midfielder, because I mean, we've seen how important he's been over the last few weeks, and how good he is in that centre midfield, in the centre midfield role. And he's going to be a big miss if he goes. So United need to look at who's leaving and where they're going to spend the money, because we've got a lot of summer business to do this summer. The squad's not good enough, and a lot of the squad's going to be leaving as well.
That's it. Just to reply to Lloyd there. Lloyd, I have tried to get the chicken Big Mac, mate, but for some reason, it's just not available at McDonald's. And it made a massive, massive problem in my life right now. I'm telling you, I had a big argument with a man in the drive-thru the other day, mate, and the manager came actually offered me a form just to complain to HQ. I'm like, Jesus. I'm like, okay,
I'll get 2 mayo chickens and put them together.
I know. It's like, I can just make it ourselves. I don't know why it went up, but that was just spin off. Totally off subject, guys. But Kev, now you're playing the rule of thirds on your screen there, mate. Lovely. Well done. Declan Rice, we know, is a quality player. We've seen many of other names come out rumoured to be looking like they're getting close to United. Obviously, it never, ever happens, mate. I mean, in terms of that midfield, are we missing a trick? Is there anyone else out there? Like Beth says there, we are going to have our pants pulled down when it comes to pricing for any English player. It happens every single time, and we know what's coming. Can we be savvy? Can we actually find another little gem somewhere else? Can we, dare I say it, trust our scouting network of highly professionals at this football club to find us that player? Because Declan Rice fits the bill, mate, but we've got a lot of gaps to fill this summer, like Beth said, and that is the worry when you look at it.
We have the worry for me after Beth just talking then is where's this money going to come from? I mean, asset-wise, even 11, asset-wise, have we got players that we can actually sell to recoup? Maybe Martial, but you've got a hell of a lot of players there that can walk out. The likes of Lingard are going to go, possibly Pogba, and it's replacing the likes of Pogba and players like that for me. United could be savvy. There's certainly players out there, the likes of Bizuma, if you wanted to look down that route as a kind of alternative to Declan Rice. But the way I look at it, and I am worried, is at Manchester United that there is so much of a rebuild to do in the summer when you take into consideration who could leave. The worry for me is, are these owners are they big enough to put the money where their mouth is and come out and actually invest in this squad? Because we all know deep down, and it breaks all our hearts, is that they are money men. And I keep going on about it. That shirt sponsorship deal with the training kit, they get 20 million for that. You know, they're laughing. Why would they need to invest in this squad? You know, even if we don't make Champions League, which is a total different argument anyway, but it's just going to set us back. And this rebuild will go on for years. If we don't make Champions League this year, you know, what players can you attract? What players can you attract to Manchester United? And we've just spoken about Declan Rice. Beth said he wants to go somewhere where he can win trophies, you know, and I'm part of me's like sitting and going, well, it's not Man United, is it? You know, why would he, at this moment in time, why would Declan Rice want to come to United when he can go somewhere else? I'm sure if Manchester City couldn't call him, the same with Liverpool. He will choose to go to one of them because they're competitive, and for the career, which is a short kind of span of career, you want to be successful. You want to be winning trophies. So United at the minute, it's kind of, you look and go, don't really know what's going on there. You know, who's going to be the manager in the summer? Are these players all sticking round? Who's going? You know, might take a couple of years before we sort of can steady the ship, really. And then you're looking a bit more long term as to when you can be more competitive. And we're years off, aren't we? Years off.
We are. We are years off. Levin, welcome to the show, mate. Hope you're well, pal.
Yeah, no, I'm doing good. Apologies that I am late. I was in a meeting, overran, and I'm here now. My setup's a bit different, so apologies as well for that. But yeah, it's good to be here.
No problem at all, mate. We're talking Declan Rice. Samuel Luckhurst posting out earlier on today that United have had Declan Rice on their target for 3 years. We've discussed why it's taken us 3 years and the price of him to go up if they have been watching him, obviously. But first of all, on Declan Rice, is he a player that you would take, or would you try and thin that budget out into other areas? Because like we just said then, Levin, we are short on quite a few areas by the time this summer comes with the amount of players that we obviously know are going to leave, mate.
Yeah, Rice is a brilliant player. I've spoken plenty about Rice in the past because I'm really impressed by what I see from him. I think a lot of people are concerned with the price tag, and sure, look, we don't know how much money we're going to have to spend. And so in theory, if you told me we only have 100 mil, are you spending all that 100 mil on Rice? Our answer would be no, right? But I'm not looking at it like that because I don't know how much we're going to have to spend. And I don't know how much we're actually going to have to pay for him. Of course, it's reported that West Ham want more than 100 mil, but Dortmund wanted more than 100 mil for Sancho, and we ended up giving them 70. So, you never know how those things will sort of go. What I would say about Rice is he's a special talent. People, I think, who maybe don't watch him much or maybe don't watch other defensive midfield prospects around Europe probably don't get why he's so hyped, as I'll say. I watch a lot of these people that people talk about. I've watched Kamara, I've watched the Sangares of the world, and all of them impress me. All of them are great players. But to be honest, Rice, there's only one other young prospect that to me is on Rice's level, and that's Tchouaméni. So the reason why teams are going to end up having to pay over the odds is because realistically, if you ain't paying the big money for Rice and you want a talent of his quality, you can in theory be like a lone number 6 long term. Only other person you're going to go for is Tchouaméni. So that's why both their prices are going to be really high. I'd pay it just because I don't know how much I pay. I think I'd pay max like 75 maybe. That's probably what I'd pay. That still would be probably what the most expensive DM ever, right? Because I think Rodri was like 55 mil. So that would be silly money. But I do get why that price would be, that high.
I mean,
Rodri has paid off the City though.
It's an investment, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Beth, sorry, I'll come to you on the same question. Is there any sort of case for United looking at Declan Rice for his behaviour, how professional the man is as well? It's a big credit to him, obviously. He's taken well off the pitch. He's respected off the pitch. He's always got time for the fans. He behaves himself. Apparently, he's never had a drink. If that's right, I'm not too sure on that. And you know what? A player like that, is that captain material for the future, Beth? Would that be a way to look at it as well for this football club? Would that be a sensible approach?
Well, that's another thing. You want to bring players in with the right behaviours, the right attitude, especially after all the issues we've had recently at the club. And
exactly,
do you know what? He's when Opal's not captain, obviously, he's captain at West Ham, which at his age to be captain of like a top 6 club is a good achievement, a very good achievement. And that's a kind of player you do want to bring into the club. He's played, obviously, at a high level with England and got to the final of that. And I thought he did really well throughout his World Cup spell. And I think, not World Cup spell, Euro spell. And I do think, like Levin said, there's no taking away from the fact he is a very good player. It's not like he's one of them players there who've just stuck a massive price tag on him and he's 100% not worth it. I do not think a CDM's very important position on the pitch, but like we just said, Rodri 55 mil, it's unheard of to go spending 100 mil on a CDM, and I think it for me is nowhere near worth that money. But if you're just asking me without the money involved, is it a good signing for Manchester United? Is it a sensible signing? Is it a great signing as a player? Absolutely, it would be a great signing as a player. But with the amount of money we spend on it, there's consequences. 1, for future purchases. 2, there's a lot more pressure on the deal if it ends up going wrong. And 3 as well, we know how much the squad needs investment in the summer, and a lot of that budget will be taken up by that. But I mean, it's West Ham as well, especially after the Jesse Lingard situation. They will not let us off a penny. It's going to be ridiculous pricing if we do end up going for him.
Yeah, I mean, Kev, professionalism is a big part of a sign. I mean, you're showing absolutely none of this while your wife and kids are away right now. What's going on in your house tonight, mate? You're all over the place.
What's going on?
Your dog wants to get on the show as well, mate, by the look of it. But yeah, Kev, on Declan Rice there, he comes with a package, but it's a package that really sort of appeals, and I think would suit United. I mean, like Beth said there, we need some hassle-free sort of players in our team as well, and professional, permanent stay in England right now in that England squad, proved on the big stage in the Euros that he's got what it takes, and he's getting better and better. It's just a shame, like we said earlier on, mate, we didn't realise this ourselves and pick up on this and try and get a player in early like we've always hoped we could do. I mean, Donny van der Beek coming back, Declan Rice, could we be filling a sort of midfield there? Can we give Donny a shout in all of this as well if he has a good season? We've still got a player there, mate.
I'd love to think so. I would really, really love to think so. And the fact that he played for Everton on his debut, was given man of the match, tells you everything you need to know. And we've shouted about this on the United stand for how long? Why has he not been given a chance? Is it something personal? He's a quality player, but you have to play him in the right system. So if it is going to get ripped up this season and Pogba is going to leave Manchester United, then obviously there's a gap in there. And we all agree, really, that Fred and McTominay has never really convinced any Manchester United fan that is the way forward. So that would be an interesting pairing. Certainly would be. But Declan Rice, I was going to say it's a no-brainer. It is. Do you know what it is for me? It's a no-brainer actually chasing him and trying to sign him for Manchester United, because he's an upgrade, massive upgrade on what we've got in the middle of the park. So I would go for him. But I'll go back to my point earlier. If that was just the transfer fee for the summer and you're blowing it on one player, then that is a worry. And then this comes back to the ownership, where you look and think, well, you know, what are their interests? Is it commercially, off the field, or is it on the field? Because you have to be successful to be sort of successful off it, don't you? So these owners have to be looking and thinking, well, we need to reinvest in this club this season to put Manchester United back on the map. And the worry is that they're not gonna. And we're going to be, you know, instead of shopping in Harrods, we'll be down in Aldi, in your favourite place, Adam, the basket aisle in the middle where you get all the really good bargains.
The shiny lights, mate.
That's it. The chainsaw for 50
chainsaws
quid.
next to the cabbages. Yes, that's the one.
So,
Everyone loves an aisle.
That's my worry, mate. That is my worry.
Before we move on, I mean, Lewin, in terms of midfielders, how do you think United need to approach it? Because Declan Rice can play a number of roles. Do you feel like we need that versatility player, or are we just going in for that specialist holding player? And that's what we've needed and not had for a very long time, mate.
That's one of the beauties of Rice. Rice is one of the few top, midfield talents who any good coach will turn him into one of the best number sixes easily. He already somewhat plays that role, but I think, like you sort of alluded to, at the moment, because of how good he is on the ball and his qualities, West Ham have started to use him as someone who carries them up the pitch as well. And I think I've seen people sort of use that as criticism of him, and people have been going this season, West Ham, he's not actually even the lone six for them. Like, they use him as like a box-to-box almost. It's like, just because he's like that good. And we see that with a lot of young DMs, right? When you have young DMs nowadays, because they are so rare, like they are a rare commodity, realistically, let's say we were having this conversation about like a winger, right? There's so many young talented wingers who are all similar in profile that you could go out and go, forget him, or go get someone else. But with, young DMs like Rice and Tchouaméni and others, what ends up happening is when they're as good as they are, their teams actually start using them more advanced and high up the pitch because of how good they are on the ball. Look, there'll be people who just won't get the whole Rice thing until he's at whatever team and like playing really well at the highest level, which he's already shown he can do in different competitions. Like Beth said, he was doing it in the Euros as well. But the reality is this whole English like thing that people have going on. Like, I know people are sort of going, oh yeah, but he's English, so United and overrated English players. And it's like, I get, you might feel burnt by Maguire or Wan-Bissaka or whatever, but why would you just let that stop you from going out and getting a talent? Like, people don't apply that to other areas, right? You don't do the same with your manager. People weren't going, I don't want Conte because, we already had a manager with a big personality, didn't work out. Obviously, some people did. You always get some people, but that wouldn't stop you from getting Conte. You wouldn't go, I don't want Poch because we already had a manager who tried to press and it didn't work. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like it's not a solid enough argument. You can make the same case with Rice. Cool, yeah, Rice is an expensive English player, but he's not Maguire, he's not Wan-Bissaka, he's not those guys, he's different. I could talk about Rice for a long time, to be honest, so I don't want to keep on going on about it, but genuinely, Rice, Tchouaméni, for me, it has to be one of the two. Personally, by the way, if people do want to actually know, I'd rather Tchouaméni, but for me, it's one of the two.
It's an investment. I think Rice is an investment. I said the other night, at the time, we in theory, on that day when we signed the likes of Rio Ferdinand, Wayne Rooney, it was almost like we'd overpaid on this English tax kind of thing. But if you get 10 years out of that player, which you could get out of Declan Rice if you bring him to Manchester United, regardless of the fee there, you break it down, you get 10 years solid service of somebody that's going to give absolutely everything for Manchester United. For me, that's kind of priceless. And, you know, at the age he is, what is he, 22, is he?
Yeah, I think he is.
23.
So I think he's just turned,
you could get 10 plus years out of him at Manchester United in that role. You know, he could be the kind of linchpin of that midfield, holding it all together and running the show.
The thing is, as well, when you look at Tchouaméni, who is a very good player and who we should have tried to get last summer, to be honest with you, he's going to be expensive as well. He's going to be very expensive if you go and try and get him. So it's one of them. It's like it's going to cost money no matter what when it's Manchester United. But Rice is going to be the most expensive. But is it worth it? Like Kev said, for that longevity, and he's Premier League proven as well, which is important because obviously we know how tough it can be for players to adapt to the Premier League sometimes.
Was Maguire Premier League proven? I'm only joking. It's just a joke.
Another thing I do want to say, and people were mentioning Neville, right? And Neville was one of the few people who said, yeah, no Conte. I was just using Conte as an example, right? And again, I mentioned that there would be people, but also like, are we acting like there aren't good English players out there? The same people who are going, no way, nowhere near English players were the same people during the Euros going, oh, this is one of the best English generations we've had in so long. Like, and we're literally watching the other teams we're competing with, by the way, and their young English players are great. So, of course, yeah, we've had a couple English players where it has been a bit dodgy. Fair enough. I'll never deny that. But to sit there and act like you can't buy an English player because English players, oh, so bad, it's always going to mess up, like it's never going to work out. It just don't make much sense, man. Don't make much sense to me.
No, that's it. Guys, about halfway through the video. Do give the video a like as well. Moving on. Kev, busy day in the Premier League. This top four race now is heating up. Wins for Arsenal, a mega win for Spurs. I didn't see that one coming, I must admit. But Conte pulled that one out the bag, came back to his best. West Ham dropping off, probably the only team that really lost out today in this top four. How are you seeing this top four battle going now, mate? Because it's going to lead us into the Leeds game shortly as well. But is it now looking like it's United, Arsenal and Spurs to you?
I would say so on reflection. I'm not just saying it with red-tinted sort of specs on, but I think the games in hand that the likes of Arsenal have got over United.
One of them is Spurs, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. We're still in the mix. I mean, I wouldn't say we've overreacted on here, but after defeats or say draws under Rangnick, we've kind of looked and gone, top four's gone, and all this. But there's plenty of football to be played, plenty of big games. My worry is, and as I've said to you, is the month of March. Tottenham being one of them huge games, but you've also got Manchester City away and Liverpool away in this same month. So you look and think, God, how many points are we going to take from them? You'd fancy us maybe at home to Tottenham, although watching that game today that I did, like you say, Harry Kane, rightfully, just back to some form of his best, really. I thought he was absolutely sensational. It's actually frightening to think if Manchester City would have signed him in the summer, and had him up there leading the line, where I know City are out in front anyway, but you think you put him in and it's sort of complete. It's the cherry on top of the icing on top of the cake for Manchester City. They must be really kicking themselves today and looking and thinking, why didn't we just push the boat out a little bit further and, go and sign Harry Kane? I'd take him at United any day of the week, as a replacement for Cavani, possibly Ronaldo. But
I mean, Beth, we've laughed off Zane's comments there about the best players. They're all bigging it up, the Arsenal fans. I mean, for you, this top four race now, I'm looking at Leeds, Watford, the next two league games. Heading into March, I think ideally we need 6 points from them because of the month of March. We have got quality teams and opposition coming up in March, like Kev just said there. We need to win. We'll go on to the Leeds game before we finish today and talk through that. But in terms of top four now, West Ham looking like not spending in January is going to hurt them. Lacking in numbers and options and depth in squad, especially with Europe coming up as well soon for them. Could we see them falling away? Arsenal not in Europe, Spurs not in Europe. Are they the major threats now?
Yeah, they are. And honestly, I was looking at the league table today after the Spurs City game, and I was looking at the matches that we have left. And I'm usually quite optimistic, but I don't see us. I don't see it at the minute. I really don't. I think that Spurs game's big lift for Spurs going into that top four race. They've got games in hand as well, and they know that. And Arsenal, but when I watch Arsenal play, I'm not like majorly worried, but we're so bad at the minute that they are a definite threat for us as well. I do think West Ham will fall away inevitably, but they've done so well to keep that position all season when you look at the difference in squads compared to the other teams in and around them. But I'm not optimistic about getting top four. It's just because of how inconsistent we are as a group, and you just can't rely on them players to go out and get the results that we need to go and get. And I don't know. Yes, we won the Brighton game, but if we didn't win that game and they didn't get a man sent off, it would have been a very, very different story throughout this week about how Manchester United played, especially in that first half. I just don't see us being good enough to match them results, especially with the oppositions that we've got in March. I mean, since we've had Ralph, we've not really played massive games yet. And if you look at the fixture list in March, it's get big game after big game after big game. And we know what these players are like with the mentality and falling away sometimes. So I think it's going to go one way or the other. We either go into that month and have a good month and somehow end up coming out of it with a decent amount of points, or it's going to be a really, really bad time to be a Manchester United fan, because it's just that first game we play against a very good opposition, like a top four side. It's going to be like, I'm just not sure, because the way we play, I think we could get battered potentially if we don't see a step up soon.
What would be a step up, Beth? Just the actual controlling a game for you, or actually comfortably winning a game in the end? I mean, I've not seen one game we've controlled all season. I mean, is that going to change now?
Someone just said Wolves are a worry as well. Wolves are a good side and they're not far off, so they come into the mix as well. And yeah, to be honest with you, it's like we called ourselves first half FC, then we were second half FC, and
let's just say one half FC, Beth, just to make it easier.
Competing for two halves.
It's been game after game where we've not seen Manchester United play decent football. And I'm not talking about amazing football, just decent football for a full 90 minutes. We've just not seen it. I think a lot of our players are bang out of form, which is a problem. And I just don't see it clicking at the moment. If we can get that team clicking and you can string some results together, then I can see us going on and pushing a good race for the top four. But at the minute, with how inconsistent we've been and the form of these players, and it's like the first half at the Brighton game, I understand it was a tactic by Ralph to kind of sit off and then go and win the game in the second half. That was the way he was going into play. But still, it just seemed like the players weren't really sure of what they were doing and they weren't in sync with each other. And it's been like that for so long, where it's a very confused Manchester United out on that pitch. I just want to see a Manchester United team play football cohesively together and look like they know what role they're doing, and see all the players play as a team. That's what will help. But tomorrow, the Leeds game, it's an important game for it. Could potentially start that clicking going and get a run of results together, because going to Leeds, it's potentially the kind of game where it could be a big scoreline and it could be a big win for one of the teams. And if that is Manchester United, then it'll set us up well going into the next few games that are must wins.
Yeah, I mean, Levin, in terms of top four now, how are you seeing it panning out at the moment? I mean, do them games in hand really count for Spurs and Arsenal? Like we just said then, one of them games for both of them is against each other. So one way it's going to benefit. It's a nice draw would do there, mate. But looking at that month of March, obviously what we've got left this month, it's on paper, mate. It's all on paper. And anything can change within a game. We know that. They could click one day, like Beth said. But how are you seeing it panning out at the moment? Is there any sort of confidence looking at anyone else that they're just not good enough and United probably squeeze in? Or can you see us actually turning the season into a bit more of a controlled sort of run of games, because we're all over the place, really, mate. Let's face it.
Hearing Beth, usually Beth is like so optimistic that like I'm always just below Beth.
I know. If Jordan was here right now, we'd have said Beth said we're going to win the league. We know he would have, won't we?
When I got 1 8 p.m. show, honestly, I thought we were getting
shout Jordan, man.
Yes, Jordan. I know he's probably watching before his show.
Yeah. Look,
you know what?
I'll be real.
You know it's bad when you throw my optimism off.
That's what I'm saying. If Beth ain't optimistic, who am I to be optimistic? Do you know what I mean? So I'll be real there. Looking at the games in hand for them, it ain't great. It ain't looking great for us. I think the biggest problem is that I think we still have issues to obviously sort out in terms of our player performance. But then also like from a tactical side, from Ralph's perspective as well, I think there's still things he needs to work on, because I think some of the things he's tried to implement haven't worked. Some of the things he's tried to implement, I just don't think will cut it against those better teams. Because in certain games, they haven't cut it against the lesser teams. Mm-hmm. And, you know, as a whole, the players just lack, you know, a lot of the courage that I think is needed. You look at the Spurs side, they're Spurs, but like today showed, they can do something good when you have Kane, Son, and Kulusevski now, who had a really good game for them as well, leading the line for them. They could be a threat. Arsenal have their issues, but the difference between Arsenal and us, I'd say, is that I don't actually think, when you watch Arsenal, I don't think they actually have much problems tactically at all. I actually think Arteta's doing a good job there. The biggest problem they have is that they're such a young side, they lack leadership, and so they almost have some of the problems that we have, where there's times in a game where they lose intensity and, you know, they're not pressing well enough, or they're not, you know, they don't have that courage to go forward and be the team that they could be. Exactly, they can switch off. But they also have a couple games in hand, right? Is it like 3 or 2 or something like that, right?
3.
I think 2, 3.
Yeah. When we play tomorrow, it's 3, I think. Yeah.
So there you go. So it's not going to be easy, but at the same time, for me, I'm trying to not focus on it too much, because the problem we have, since we're so close, like since we're literally just like on this line of being top 4, not top 4, top 4, not top 4, what happens is every win, yes, you know, we're on course. This is possible. There's hope. There's faith. Every loss, season's done. We're finished. Like, and I saw a tweet from Grace Robertson, and she was saying that, you know, like United, everything around United needs to calm down, because it's exactly like that. Every loss is the worst thing in the world, and it's all over. Every win is the return to the glory days. Obviously, that's a bit hyperbole, but you get the point, right? And I think this top 4 race is just making that worse. It's just amplifying that. So for me, I just have my eyes set on the game ahead. Hopefully, we can get the result. What's going on? I don't even see what's going on around the perimeter. I'm not seeing none of it. Do you know what I mean? I'm just seeing what we're doing, and we'll see where we end up in May.
I mean, do any of you guys actually think, after what's happened this week, so-called crunch talks behind the scenes, do you have any hope that this will bring this squad together? I mean, we talked about it plenty in the week about the leaks and everything like that, Kev and Bev there. Do you feel like there is a chance that what's happened this week can galvanise us at all on this final running now?
That's exactly what I'm hoping for. Exactly what I'm hoping for. What's the reaction tomorrow? I don't read into anything. I mean, I was listening. Paul Ince was obviously speaking to Mark on his thing, and I totally agree with him. Now, they're trying to come out and say there is no issue, there's no backlash, there was no meeting. But why did Harry Maguire have to come out and tweet about it then? Mm-hmm. Now, that's one thing I picked up on, and I'm like, well, was it Harry Maguire? Is it his PR team that's put it out? You know, he's just said, just put some out to make things look all right, and put at the end, we're United, you know, we can't wait for the match on Sunday. And it's we're that used to it at Manchester United, all this PR spin bollocks, that you don't know what to believe anymore, to the extent and the point that you've got players coming in front of cameras after matches, after defeats, draws, whatever, when they've been diabolical, and you want answers. And they almost go into like robot mode. And it's all this same kind of positivity, you know, not the result we wanted, but we move again. We will try harder. And you're like, I just want a bit of honesty. That's all I want from Manchester United. And I mean, more than anything, 90 minutes of football, like Beth just said then, 45 minutes of foot, you know, it's not sustainable. And when you play the better teams, you know, you're going to get found out. I want 90 minutes of a performance. I want to see people might call me old-fashioned. I want to see people running round for 90 minutes, looking like their arse and putting a shift in. And even if we get beat, I would be there. You know, I would clap them off. I would say, do you know what? We give it a right good go today. That was entertainment. Yes, we didn't get the result, but you know, every one of them players can come off and hold their heads high. And we've not had that. When's the last time we had played 90 minutes? Is it a mentality issue? Is it fitness? Is Rangnick trying to get this in, you know, where they blow out of steam in the second half? But it's not always the second half. You know, sometimes it takes us 45 minutes of the first half to click into gear in the second half. And again, against the better teams, as we've rightly found out this season against the likes of Man City and Liverpool at Old Trafford, half time, we're gone, dead and buried. No coming back from that.
I mean, does anyone know who actually won the five-a-side match on the training ground this week? Have they posted that out yet? I mean, I'm interested to know. I mean, I think that was probably one I was expecting this week, but I've not seen it yet. Maybe they're clicking on that this isn't working on the fans. I don't know. I don't care who's on the winning team this week. I want the winning team tomorrow. Beth, that leads us right into tomorrow's game. You touched on it before. First of all, in terms of your time watching, following United, what was your experience and memories of this game? Because I know you're of the younger generation of fan and you've not seen as much as, say, me and Kev probably have. I mean, do you know and have heard of, as your dad spoke to you, about how big this game is going to be for the fans, especially tomorrow?
Yeah, it's one of them where obviously I'm quite. The time I've been following United, the Leeds and United rivalry hasn't really been at what it has been in. Well, it's always been there, but you've not seen the games play out as often as they used to. And obviously, I know about the rivalry, and you brought up knowing about how big a rivalry it is. It's on the scale of Liverpool, if not worse, in that respect. And going to Elland Road is probably the worst place for United fans to go. I mean, and I know quite a few people who've been to away days or are planning to go to the away day tomorrow, and it's going to be mental. It's one of them. It's one of them games where Leeds and United fans, they just absolutely hate each other. It's going to be, the crowd atmosphere is going to probably be the biggest crowd atmosphere that's been in a stadium all season. And to be honest, it's good to have that rivalry back in the Premier League, and it's good to have them games where you've got that rivalry. It fires the players up, it fires the fans up. And it always makes for a good game. So yeah, I know about the rivalry, and it's a massive one. And hopefully the rivalry continues where we keep beating Leeds, because that seems to be happening at the moment. But obviously with the behind closed doors things since Leeds have been back in the Prem, we've not had fans at Elland Road yet. So it's going to be really interesting to watch. I wish I could go to the game, but obviously we know about the prices of the tickets and how ridiculous that is. But for anyone who's going, it's going to be a memorable atmosphere, I'm guessing.
Yeah, guys, I have done a special video. I was down at Elland Road today filming, so check that out. That's coming up on the United Stand tomorrow morning, so do have a look at that one. I was in behind enemy lines today, so yeah, and it was already starting to bubble. You could feel the vibe just from being around the place and how much it means. But Levin, very similar to you, mate. I mean, memory-wise, personally, the age you are, it's not going to be a lot, but I'm sure you would know. I'm sure you have been told in the past by a lot of United fans how big this is. And you've seen it yourself in terms of when we've played Leeds and the hype that has been built up around on TV and in mainstream media, that this is going to be hostile tomorrow, and we're going to need characters, mate. Big characters, because it could be a 12-man sort of scenario for Leeds tomorrow in that stadium.
Yeah, and we've obviously gotten the better of them since they've been back in the Premier League. But I think what a lot of people don't realise is that for them, this is their biggest game of the season. It is. And it means a lot to them. And of course, it's weird because I don't want to reference the games we've played in the past where we've dominated them, because you just know how this kind of thing goes nowadays with us. But I expect us to go out there, and there clearly is, for us at least, if there was one game that the players in this squad should know how to win the match, even without Ralph having to say anything, you'd think it's this one. Like some of the performances we've seen against Wolves from certain players, against Leeds from certain players, has been great. And so the hope is they can go out there and emulate that and replicate that. But again, the Wolves players are going to be ready to fight. I've heard they've had a couple injuries and whatnot, and so hopefully that sort of plays into our favour. Dan James, he's going to be wanting to have a big game.
You can just see Dan James scoring, can't you?
I can already. I'll be real. I can already see it happening.
I told you.
But let's just hope that if he does happen to get a goal, it will be after he scored like 5 or 6. That's the only thing I can hope in it. But yeah, obviously, it's a big game for us still, especially with how our season is, and for them, it's just a massive game in their season, especially since it's been a pretty bad season for them as well. So I'm sure Bielsa will want to sort of use this as a way to get any Leeds fans that are starting to doubt him back on side.
Yeah, Kev, I left you for last, mate. Obviously, because I know you've got a history of this fixture. I mean, what are your memories of this game, mate? Growing up, being a United fan, going to the games, I'm sure, and then just seeing how these games break down, and then you could say camaraderie between the fans, but it's a little bit more than that with United and Leeds, isn't it, mate?
It's yes, very tasty, shall we say? That's the word. Lively, very lively.
Yeah,
it's definitely up there with Liverpool. I mean, I've been to Anfield before. I've been at an FA Cup game where they're in the tier above us. We've had all kinds of body excrements thrown on us, coins, stuff like that. So that was hostile. But Leeds is a total different scenario for me. I mean, it is up there, but Leeds, the rivalry, the hostility. I mean, so I've said it the other night. Some of the younger sort of generation might not get it because Leeds have been out of the Premier League for so long. You just go, if you've not grown up with it, you go, oh, that's Leeds from the Championship. But back when they were in the Premier League, this is a rivalry that dates back. It's huge. I've been at Old Trafford, and it's the one game you can guarantee before the game, there's always trouble outside the ground and after it. I've seen some things. That's all I'll say. And I remember the one year Arsenal had won the league that weekend. Arsenal had won it, and we were playing Leeds at Old Trafford. Every single coach that was coming down the road, Leeds ones, not a single pane of glass in the coach. They'd all been put through by United fans, but the Leeds fans were all hanging out. They'd been out to buy the morning paper with Arsenal, obviously lifting, the Premier League. So they were all holding the newspapers out, but actually hanging out these windows. And I just look and I think, this is just, hostility and violence at its best. It runs so deep. And for anyone that's, like I say, a bit younger and who doesn't understand it, you listen before kickoff tomorrow. First 5-10 minutes of that game tomorrow. Listen to the Leeds fans, the abuse that the Manchester United players will get. Doesn't matter who they are. It's just because they're representing Manchester United. And Leeds hate Man United. And you know what? I hate them as well. Meh.
Oh, right. I mean, Levin, I'll come to you on approaching this game, mate. Football terms, rivalry aside, how are you approaching this? Is there many changes in the starting lineup? We've got defenders back, Bailly's back in training, Lindelof's available. Obviously, we've got the fullback situation, midfield, the forward line. How are you approaching it? What's your lineup for tomorrow, mate?
My lineup for tomorrow would probably be... It would be similar to the lineup we've had, except I'd bring in Lindelof. Just, I think, Lindelof deserves to play. I think I saw something with Ralph saying he's going to play Lindelof, but I don't know how true that was.
Oh, mate, find it, mate, and send it me, please.
Okay, yeah. I just sort of saw it on my phone, and I was like, what's that? But I was just too busy to even know what it was. I'd be very interested in playing Pogba out wide, similar to how he did early in the season, because with Leeds' whole man marking thing, having a player like Pogba out wide who is going to drift inwards very much will leave a lot of gaps like it did early. And that's the one thing I'd say. As much as, yes, we may be rubbish at times or whatever, just the nature of how Leeds want to play, we very much can exploit that, because the whole man marking thing they got on, props to Bielsa. He's very well respected in the football community, but I think at this point, his man marking thing is a bit overdone. And so if we have runners from deep, if we have players who will drag their marker out of position, so obviously if you have Pogba out wide and it's Elland playing at right back, Pogba's constantly going to be coming inside, and so Elland will follow him. There's just plenty of space on the left for Tellez or Luke Shaw, whoever's playing, to exploit that. So for me, I'd maybe experiment with that, have Sancho out on the right maybe as well. And then you're probably going to go with what? Who are midfielders available?
So Matic is back in training, but I don't know if he's fully fit. Obviously, Fred McTominay.
I think he said he's still not available.
So I'd go with McFred, and I know people obviously will be skeptical, but to be fair, this is like McTominay's favorite game in the season because his runs from deep are like the most effective against Leeds. So yeah, and obviously I know some people go Elanga. And to be fair, I like Elanga. Maybe I wouldn't play Pogba on the left. I'd play Elanga and then bring in Pogba, keep him in the midfield with McTominay. But if I was going to switch anything up, that's what I probably would try.
Beth, how are you approaching this one? I mean, would you play McFred in midfield there? I mean, would you risk not having Pogba who can hold the ball better in that midfield if Leeds' press is going to be effective? And their fans will demand that they set off like a steam train tomorrow and they will be pumped. We just see out that first 20 minutes. The game should effectively play into our hands when you look at it. But are you changing much in there? Forward line take care of itself for you as well?
Personally, for me, I'm starting Pogba in the midfield. I watched McFred play against Brighton for 45 long minutes in that first half. And Fred had a shocker. I'm not going to lie. He had an absolute shocker. And I like the player, but when Pogba came on, it's night and day in that midfield. It honestly is. And so for me, I think Pogba's got to start in midfield. He holds the ball really well. He transitions it to the attack way better. And I think Pogba's in great form for at the minute, and that should be good for us, especially against Leeds, where he can hold that ball and hit the pass. And I would like to have Elanga going on that counter attack, and with the space he's going to get, I would like to see Elanga play. So I'd have Elanga, Sancho, and Ronaldo as my front three, and then just like Levin said, we're bringing in Lindelof 100%. And for me, I'd give Tellez a run at left back as well, to be honest with you. But I don't. It's not one of them where I'd be fuming if he didn't. But I like Tellez, and I think he deserves a run in the team in this game at left back.
Kev, are we looking for characters, leaders? Is there anyone there that you would change or bring out even in that team that started against Brighton? I know I'm sort of teeing up the obvious, but
get Harry Maguire out of that team. No, but in serious, I would get him out of the team. If Lindelof is fit, I would pair Lindelof with Varane. Dalot starts. Luke Shaw, even though he's not in form, I would throw him in. I totally agree with Beth. Pogba has to come in for me. Fred wouldn't be anywhere near that team, not after the performance against Brighton. And Beth said Elanga on the left. I would agree with that. And Sancho and Ronaldo up top. Definitely. Cavani at the minute, don't really know what's happening with him.
He's not available anyway.
Yeah. I know he's had his injury problems and we knew what to expect from him, but I love the guy. Lost a little bit of respect for him, going away for Uruguay and, like coming back, I'm not fit to play and that. Whereas, you look at a player like Fred who played for Brazil and managed to come back and play. I know that's it's not the same age kind of thing, whatever. But again, I think it's another Manchester United player who's got the old sombrero on, innit, ready for the holidays. So just getting out of Manchester United, the same with like Jesse Lingard. And that's where we're at the minute. The thing that worries me is the bench. Start of the season, we had a really strong bench at Manchester United. Some would argue it was actually better than the first team. Beth's cat's made an appearance.
Yeah, it's Kev's dog. It's Beth's cat. I mean, oh God, what's going on tonight?
That's what we are. But yes, bench-wise, it does worry me now that we've let these players go and we can't really turn to anyone.
Yeah, apparently someone must have been watching TV and seen Cavani at the boxing. That's come up with a couple of people now, so that's gonna upset a few people. Obviously,
do you know what? It's a shame about Cavani because he'd be such a good player to have in this sort of game. Like we've not seen him play. We've not seen him play in a Leeds game or a City game yet, have we?
No, I mean,
I can't remember.
that I can think of. No, I think you're right on that one. Definitely didn't show up against City this season, I can remember.
It would have been nice to have Cavani back in his prime, the same way of having Ibrahimovic back in his prime, the same way having Schweinsteiger in his prime, Falcao. And that's the road we've gone down, haven't we? It's these players, it's great, isn't it? And let's not forget, we had Igalo online for Christ's sake at one stage, didn't we? Do you know what? I love that guy so much. The guy took a pay cut to come and play for Manchester United. I was like, what a man. What a man this guy is. He loves Manchester United. I'm not saying he was naturally, the best number 9 in the world that we'd ever seen, but he lived out his dream playing for Manchester United. And that is all you want. But I'm just trying to point you down that route again of that's the route we've gone down, isn't it? These players that are past it. Whereas the days when I mentioned earlier about signing up the talent, the Rio Ferdinands, the Wayne Rooneys, the Michael Carricks or whatever, these players that are going to sort of take you through for the next 10 years, have a testimonial at Manchester United, we kind of backtracked, haven't we? And it's the same signing Ronaldo. I love the guy. Absolute legend of United. But what does it say about Manchester United?
Yep, that is it. I mean, Beth, who is this game set up for? Who's going to be that standout player? Give me a player you think might actually come out tomorrow and go, well, he was our man today. Who's the one for you?
Pogba.
Pogba?
I think Pogba. I also think Bruno and McTominay. I mean, McTominay usually does well against Leeds, doesn't he? So I think that midfield will be key tomorrow. And I think Pogba for me is just at the moment. I think he's just such a good player. I'm going to be so gutted when we probably do lose him in the summer, but I think Pogba could really have a great performance tomorrow. And we saw what happened at the start of the season when Pogba got all them assists in that first Leeds game. So I think he could light up tomorrow, hopefully, and help us get the 3 points.
11, mate. Who's your standout? Who's this set up for tomorrow for you?
I don't know about one particular individual who's going to have like a phenomenal game, but I think Bruno will be really important. Just purely because I think we're probably going to go back to playing more of the 4-2-3-1 where he has a bit more freedom as a 10. And in this game, right, his ability to roam, which can frustrate people, in this game, it's his best asset because I can't remember, is it Click or Cock who plays at number 6 for them? I think it might be Cock.
Click, I think. Or was it Cock? I thought Cock was a centre-back.
I thought Cock was the CDM.
I thought he was a centre-back.
No, that's Fred for us.
Click or Cock, whichever one it is at CDM, right? Bruno's ability to just drag them way out of position and open up space for the likes of Pogba and Sancho in the middle of the park will be really good. So hopefully he can have a good game. Yeah.
Yeah, Kev. Who is it? Who's winning this game for us tomorrow? Someone's got a standout. I mean, are we getting a CR7 hat trick there, like Harry says? What's happening tomorrow, mate? Who is the one? Who in your dreams tonight, mate, is taking that ball out of the net and pumping his fist in the air, mate? Who's doing it for us tomorrow? It could even be a defender, standout,
Yeah, well, it's not going to be Harry Maguire. What I would, the last time I spoke, I said Ronaldo, but I've gone full swing, and it's only because I heard what Bruno Fernandes said. I was reading what he said about this game. Now, he's not actually played at Elland Road in front of fans. Obviously, the last time was during lockdown, COVID and all that. So he's come out and he said, I've heard a lot about the rivalry between Manchester United and Leeds. I've heard it's a very hostile environment. I've heard that, to expect basically dogs abuse. And he said, I absolutely love that. He said, I am on my A game when people are at me, when the opposition fans are at me. And I love that. That's a player taking some kind of inspiration. The same that Ronaldo does. He loves that, doesn't he? There's nothing better than fans giving it you, and then next minute you just respond with a goal. Eric Cantona, remember when he scored the penalty against Leeds after he'd signed from Leeds and just literally stood there in front of the crowd. And I was like, geez, this guy is God. He is God. That is, how do you do that after going from Leeds to United, scoring a goal against Leeds and standing in front of Leeds United fans? And he was just like, I'm like, he's mental.
He is
mental.
the king, mate.
Yeah.
He is the king.
He still is.
Before we finish up the show, obviously the burning question tonight, Levin, I'm coming to you first, mate. Is it Khan or is it Brooke? Who's having it tonight, mate? Khan or Brooke? Who's having it tonight?
Khan. I probably won't be watching. Sorry, I've just not. Yeah.
You've let me down completely there. So I did throw you under the bus a bit, mate.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I had no clue what you were on about there for a second, but yeah, Khan. Yeah.
Beth, you're watching it. Who's having it tonight? Who's getting the win?
I'm going to go with Brooke.
No,
Not
Brooke.
a big fan of Khan, to be honest with you.
Kev, I know you're there. Home alone tonight, mate. Beers, boxing, perfect night, match of the day in between. Who's winning the fight, mate?
Yeah, tonight I am Kevin McAllister. I am home alone. I'm gonna go with Brooke. I'm going with Brooke this evening. And the annoying thing about this fight is this should have happened years ago when the fight, the two fighters were in the prime. That's the kind of thing that annoys me. But we get to see it, don't we? We'll see if they can both sort of back up the trash talk that they've come out with all week, which boxers usually do anyway. Before I do go, I want to know who the phantom person was in the kitchen on the microwave, because everybody was saying, even though I'm in my kitchen, everyone in the comments was like, Kev, tell that person in your kitchen to be quiet, which I'm home alone. So unless there's a ghost or somebody broke into my house and decided to make a microwave curry, it is not me. So we can rule me out the equation.
Okay,
there was a lot of pinging going on and doors shutting, and it was
the dog.
Who's the dog, mate? Who's the dog? He's just got his knives and forks out and put them on the table. Your dog, I've seen him do it before.
he's not been fed since the wife went away. Actually, he's probably hungry.
Anyway, guys, that is it for tonight's show. There's nothing much more to say, and it's business time tomorrow. Obviously, the watch along will be a bit earlier. Kickoff with Mark. My Leeds preview special video is up tomorrow as well, guys. So do tune in the morning and watch that. What's left to say is, Levin, cheers for coming on, mate.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure as always, everyone, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Yes. Kev and the dog, thanks for coming on, bud.
Always a pleasure, never a chore. Up the Reds. Let's do this. Meh.
Yeah. Beth, cheers for coming on, Beth, as always. And safe journey tomorrow, Beth.
Yeah, hopefully with the weather and that around Manchester Leeds. I mean, it's bad all over the country. I managed to fly off and hopefully an hour. I'm hoping on an hour delay, so I get to watch the end of the Leeds United game, because I'll be gutted if I miss that. But hopefully we get the 3 points, and if I do go, I land to us beating Leeds. So yeah.
Yep. Airplane mode off. 3-0 United. Ronaldo hat-trick. It's a perfect world, everybody. Not quite, but guys, cheers for tuning in. As always, hit that like button, subscribe to United Stand, bottom right hand corner there, guys. We're out of here, and we will see you tomorrow. United have to win this game, don't they? But we will see. See you.